everybody, and welcome to another episode of Coffee Talk. Grab a cup of coffee, grab a cup of tea, or grab a freaking martini. I'm alive, guys. I'm alive again. That last Coffee Talk, when I was editing it, I was like, oh, she's not okay. 2 a.m., she was not okay, but obviously I look much more put together right now. Feel so much better. My coffee is slapping the way that it needs to slap me in the face specifically. So let's take a sip together. Oh, by the way, before we get started, if you hear a lot of unnecessary screams, thumps, scrapes, for some reason, I don't know if my neighbors upstairs are on ketamine. I don't know if they're raccoons and are nocturnal, but for some reason, they are the loudest people on the planet. And I've lived here for years, so I don't know if they just started taking some sort of new medication or if they're a whole new set of humans. But for some reason, every single day sounds like they're moving in and moving out. Every day. This girl was just scream singing Steven Tyler. For freaking why? So if you hear a little bit of that, that's what that is. And usually, I never want to sound like an angry, Karen woman that's like, oh my God, my neighbors are too loud, because this is New York City, everybody's loud. But it gets to a point where I'm like, what kind of shoes are you wearing that I hear every single step? That's never happened before. I've lived in this apartment for 4 years. That's never happened before, where somebody's foot sounds like it's a cement shoe walking across the floor at 11 p.m. But you know what? Forget it. We're moving on. We're feeling great. We're moving towards our affirmation. Okay? But if you hear that, I'm just letting you know, my neighbors, I don't know who the hell you are, but absolutely, you don't deserve good things. That was harsh, Diana. Sorry. See, I'm growing, guys. I'm growing. Our affirmation for the day, and I'm really excited about it, actually, because I even said it to myself earlier when I was thinking about what affirmation I wanted to say. And I was like, hell yeah. Something about that gave me a boost, a little pep to my step. So today's affirmation, take a big deep breath in with me. If you're listening to this with somebody, make sure they do it too. Go ahead, nudge them on the hip, make them feel uncomfortable. I deserve it. I deserve it. I deserve everything that I want. Everything that I'm striving for, everything that feels out of reach, bring it a little closer by just saying, I deserve it. Why wouldn't that be mine? Of course it would be mine. I deserve it. When you say it in these terms, it doesn't seem so far away. It doesn't feel so unattainable. It doesn't feel like, oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Oh my God, it makes you feel like, oh, there's a way. There's a way to do this, and I deserve it, and I'm going to figure it out. And it's just going to come to me because I deserve it. I do. I deserve all the success that I want. I deserve the love that I want. I deserve to be celebrated the way that I want, the way that I celebrate myself. Because you cannot be celebrated or loved if you do not celebrate or love yourself first. All of these things come to you when you start implementing the exact things that you envision yourself doing, because you deserve it. Wasn't that just a little, that felt like an illegal drug, okay? We have so much to get to today. I know I'm kind of taking a minute for these long intros. So let's dive right in. First of all, TikTok's back. If you saw me crashing out online, yes, you did. It's very important. And I'm happy I crashed out. I'm happy we all collectively crashed out, because guess what? If we didn't, then it wouldn't have been brought back expeditiously. But it also could have been a very big PR stunt, because things are looking a little different. Either way, I'm glad TikTok is back. Gave me a wake-up call not to put all my eggs in one basket. I was talking about it on Threads, and people on Threads, I forget they're descendants of Instagram, and they're just all miserable people. People were like, well, if you're relying on your talent of TikTok, you clearly aren't talented enough to not be making the amount of money that you should be making. I'm like, hold on. Broadway actors are still living paycheck to paycheck, okay? Broadway actors are still people in debt. So let's not relay it on talent, number one. Number two, I would sing you off a stage. Number three, there's a lot of hatred towards content creators and towards people who use content as a means of income. And I'm here to tell you, don't be that person, because I want you to use content to find a way of means of income. You know what I mean? Use content to your advantage. Because guess what? All those people online, and I was really interested in their psychology behind this. They kept saying like content creators have no value in this world. They have no value. But you turn on your freaking phone, you log into any social media, and you have your favorite content creators that you watch daily. And I would say that they have a lot of value in your personal life, whether it's interior design, whether it's motivational stuff, whether it's sports content creators. Anything. These people have value, and you too can create that value within yourself and surrounding the perception of yourself. So let's reframe our negative outlook on content creators and influencers. I don't really like to look at myself as an influencer. I don't believe I am, because an influencer is somebody who they can like sell things. I'm not much of a salesperson, if I'm being honest. But I use content creation to my advantage for sure. And I think I encourage everyone to do it. Everyone to do it. Be weird, be cringe, let people hate you for a little bit. That comes with the territory. Give yourself some thick skin. But wow, it was really, really interesting to unveil for me to watch people hate content creators so bad when they say, oh, get a real job, get a real job. Honey, this is a real job. Okay. I work 14-hour days. Even when I'm sitting down and eating and maybe I have a TV show on, I can't even, we're not enjoying the TV show. We're editing on our phones and stuff like that. It might not look the same as obviously somebody who works with their hands, and it's not. There's many, many, many more difficult jobs. But that doesn't mean that the money that we earn is any less ours if you've worked your ass off to build what you have, because I think people really assume that all influencers or content creators are these little rich girls or rich guys with parents' money, that they're just, they live in a sway house or they live downtown Manhattan. But I'm here to tell you that there are so many working families, working mothers, single fathers, people that have really been able to give themselves a sense of livelihood without feeling like they're caught in the rat race of our society. Our society's crazy, guys. It's work, 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 hustle, hustle, hustle. And it really causes people to feel so depressed when you feel like I can't get out of this, the carousel never stops turning, a little Grey's Anatomy reference for you. And it throws people into a depression, because what's the point of working and struggling day in and day out? You wake up with a headache and a stomach ache because you're like, oh, I'm still in this. I'm still here. And I don't even get a break. I don't even get a vacation. Who cares if people can content create and then take their family to freaking Disney World? Screw it. Take them to Europe. I want that for you. I want that for us. So let's stop thinking that the only work that's hard is the one that you hate, because that is such a negative mindset that's not the way that we're supposed to live. That's not human. You're not supposed to hate your life for 60 years while you work, and then you have you have a few years of retirement, and then you pass on? Come on, guys. Come on. It made me really sad reading so much disdain for, content creators. I was like, come on. I'm doing this for my art, because my industry, if anybody wants to hear about the music industry, for years I couldn't figure out. I was also hanging out with very bad people, but for years I couldn't figure out how to do it. And it was like I was hitting a wall every time. TikTok came around and I was like, oh, this is really cool. And then once I started posting on it, and I was also working on my music, everybody in the industry was saying, like, if you don't have social media, you're not getting picked up, you're not getting invested in. And they started requiring all label artists on record labels, you have to go viral on TikTok. You have to make a TikTok song. So, Halsey did a whole thing on this. Halsey was like, why do I need to make, it could be a TikTok, it was like kind of a TikTok campaign, but it's still like, why do people have to make these little teeny bopper songs at the time to, seem like they have value on a record label? And so all these artists in New York City, we were really caught, between a rock and a hard place of the only way we're going to get invested in is if we have social media, but the only way to get seen on social media is if we do some corny shit. And every artist I know here in New York City is some of the most authentic human beings ever. And they're like, oh, if I join TikTok, I'm a sellout. But we all did it. And a lot of us actually ended up finding success and finding an audience and finding a niche, or, being the niche. And so this some of us can't just ignore TikTok. We can't just say it's not a real job. It's become a major pillar of our job. So with all of that being said, all of that big, big, big rant, I encourage all of you to strive. Try to just, oh my God, I got scared. I thought this wasn't recording for a second. Try content creation. What's the worst that can happen? Come on. And you know what? Be kind to the people that are starting out and they have to do the weird, uncomfortable stuff. You see somebody that's got 3 likes, send them a heart and be like, girl, I can't wait to see you in a year when you have 100,000 followers. That's the reason why I kept this podcast going. I uploaded one of my first episodes on YouTube and somebody said, you're going to have a very successful career if you keep posting this year. I was like, oh, wow. Little Jennifer Aniston. Wow. Oh, honey, wow. Thank you. Yeah. So TikTok's back, but I will be diversifying all of my content because I don't trust her. I gave all that long-winded answer of how people need TikTok, but the truth of the matter is a lot of it does feel like a huge PR stunt. So diversifying my content, you should diversify your content and make sure you guys are following me on YouTube. I'm super excited because I'm getting a new camera. This one stays, but I have another camera that I'm trading in for something nice and better and more video focused. So it'll be really exciting. And you guys will see a bunch of new content on YouTube. So yeah, I can't wait to get to that era of this year. So speaking of video and photo, a little bit of wedding planning action. I'll just touch on this a little bit because I do want to get to the salute of it all. Mr. Elon Musk did a very interesting salute, and there's a lot of conversation and debacle within it. So here's the thing, this wedding planning. I freaked out a little bit about the wedding planning because I didn't realize, like, my parents, I guess, have a little bit of money for me to have a wedding, which I was like, wow, you guys have money for me to have a wedding. And there was a piece of me that, I turned to my mom and I was like, I'm having this really weird internal battle because I've had some difficult, conversations with my dad in the past. And my dad has said some harsh things, but I don't see my dad as a bad person. I see my dad as a broken kid that never healed. And so I have that empathy for him because I love my father. My father's the fucking best, but he's hurt. He's done things that have hurt me horrifically. And I can't look past that, And so when they talk to me about, oh, we have money for your wedding, because I'm their only daughter, there was a piece of me that was like, wow, I'm so grateful. I can't believe you have money for me. But then there's a piece of me that's like, you got money for me? And I turned to my mom and I said, Mom, I've been struggling all these years. I've told you guys, and you guys have had like money for me this whole time. And she was like, Diana, we might not have had it then. And I was like, oh, okay. She was like, but, I guess they retired or maybe they took something out of some sort of account that they can't touch for a while. I don't know how money works. I'm just a girl. And actually, no, I don't like that I said that. We should all know our money, especially as women. And I think I probably am not educated in finances as much because I'm a girl. So yeah, no, that makes me irritated. I think this entire thing makes me irritated because of that. And my mom, there's a piece of me that also felt that when talking to her, because I was like, you guys have money for my wedding, but you didn't have money to, help me when I was struggling with my career. And I go, and I remember I would have these conversations with my parents and they said, well, why can't you do this? Why can't you do that? I go, because this costs money. And at the end of the day, people will put multiple girls in competition with each other. And the one who wins is the one who's got rich parents or the one who's got money from, OnlyFans, which more power to you. Unfortunately, OnlyFans isn't in the cards for me. And at the end of the day, you are competing with money. That's why a lot of the times you see people popping off that they may not have a ton of talent, but they got a rich daddy, they got a rich mommy, they got connections, they got resources. That's what you're competing with. Resources and connection and network. And I don't come from resources or network or connection, and I don't come from money. So there was a piece of me that was like, okay, I could sit here and feel like I'm resenting my parents for knowing how badly I've struggled, for knowing how I lived with 5 roommates. I lived out of my car for a little bit because I needed this music to work. I needed to release something. Or I could say thank you. Or I could understand that this is the journey I'm on for a reason. I was meant to feel those things for a reason. I was meant to understand the industry the way that I do for a reason. Because it led me to you guys. And, I was speaking to Dano, and Dano was like, babe, he was like, you have to understand, I didn't get to the place in my career until, like, my career didn't start until I was your current age. Because mind you, Dano and I have about a 9-year age gap. Bet you didn't know that about us, did you? We have about an 8-9 year age gap, almost a decade. And I mean, God bless him. The dude, he looks 32. I mean, he's 36, about to be 37. I was never going to date a guy my age anyways. Let's be so fucking for real. I would eat them for breakfast, lunch, and dinner and then spit them out because they would taste disgusting. So, but, he said to me, he's like, I didn't start my life until I was about your age. I didn't get my career going until I was about your age. I was like lost for, doing a bunch of things. And he was like, you should be grateful because like I still don't have that backup, financially from a family. He's like, and they were able to save that for you because they knew that this day would be important to you. And so I was like, you know what? Yeah, I am very grateful. And I think I found this, I think I might have found our wedding venue last night. I am so in love with it and I can't wait to tour it. I hope it's as good as it looks and I hope it's as good as the package is. But I think it's in our budget. Culinary wise, it's on the money and it's stunning and it gives you that New York City feel and it's accessible and I'm excited to view it. So wedding planning has commenced fully. My Pinterest board is fucking stunning. Me and Dano are just like, we're pretty much on the same page with everything. I know I made a joke about him like wearing tweed or a few episodes ago. Cause I was like, honey, why are you trying to look like Grandpa Joe from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory at our wedding? Tweed. Sir. No. But we're pretty much in terms of what it looks like. I want it to feel like a fairy tale. I do. And he's like, yeah, I want that without it being cheesy, of course. But like, so I think, the colors are going to be, we're going to have red. We're going to have gold. It's going to feel romantic. I want it to feel so romantic. Candelabras, but I'll share more with you guys as it continues. But oh my God, it's like hitting me that like we're planning a wedding and like, I don't know. I can't stop smiling about it. It's just a scary thing. I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, we could do this. And like, I'm a girly that does things on a budget. Like I will go to thrift stores and find the centerpieces. Like I'll take you guys along with me. This will be so much fun. Like, this will be so much fun. So wedding planning is going super well. And now it's time. I know I led with something really good, but now it is time to talk about the salute of it all with Mr. Elon Musk. Now, I've done a lot of thinking. Naturally, I am a decently political person. I wouldn't say that I'm heavily political because once you say that you're heavily political or you make everything you do about politics, everybody expects you to be an encyclopedia for politics. And I don't want to claim that I'm smarter than anybody else. And I also don't want to claim that I can't change my mind because I always can change my mind. And I've said to everybody before, I don't care if you're on the right or the left. If we can disagree on policy, we could disagree on policy all day. That's fine with me. I have family members all over the spectrum, and that doesn't bother me in the slightest. When we start disagreeing on moral, on value, on humans, human rights, and things like that, that's where I start to be like, okay, I see you over there, and I'm going to keep you over there. So Elon Musk did a very questionable salute a few days ago. When I guess Trump was getting inaugurated. And it looked very similar to an offensive salute from World War II, headed by a very offensive man with a weird little mustache. So I personally, people were saying he's autistic, he's got Asperger's, well, he's actually, nobody said he's got Asperger's. Somebody said that in my comment section. She was like, my friend has Asperger's and that's how he acts. I'm like, oh, so now Elon Musk is an autistic man who does a Roman salute, because that's what they're calling it, with Asperger's. And then somebody else said that he was like tripping on ketamine. So now he's on ketamine and drugs, like, and all of this sounds exciting to you for him to be close to the Oval Office? Okay, whatever, to each their own. I'm disassociating from the whole thing, if I'm being honest. But even if it's like, even if he didn't mean for it to look like that, you could still come out and say, I didn't mean for it to look like that. That's my bad. And I think people would understand that. But to me, it felt very weird. Felt very weird watching that. Because I watched it without anybody telling me like, oh, Elon Musk did a salute. I watched it and I went, ooh. And then I started seeing people say, oh, Elon Musk did the salute. I was like, oh, okay, so it wasn't just me who thought that that was a little weird. And, you know, I think that instead of saying like, oh, it was an accident, he didn't mean it, we should say, hey, you should really watch the way that your arms do that, even if you didn't mean it, because that could be very offensive. Okay, either way, because now we've created this gray area where people are going to be like, look, I'm doing this, but it's an accident. Like, it creates a gray area for what's acceptable and what's not. And I think somebody should still be reprimanded, even if it is a mistake or an accident. It's okay to make mistakes. But if you say like, oh, you guys don't know what you're talking about. No, we saw what we saw. We assumed what we saw. And we're allowed to make that assumption and say, that looks really offensive. And you can just openly say like, yeah, oh my God, I did not mean for it to look that way, I swear. But it's all about pride and ego in politics. So there's just a lot of conversation online, and somebody, one of my followers tagged me in this, and they said, Diana, you need to get your news from someplace else instead of being brainwashed by the liberal media. And then they tagged me. This is great. This was so great. They tagged me in a faceless TikTok page with 2 posts, and one of them, and the post had pictures of like a bunch of like Taylor Swift with her hand in the air at a concert, of like Elizabeth Warren with her hand in the air, of like a Kamala Harris with her hand in the air, all clearly like waving. Taylor Swift is performing, and I'm like, this, you told me I got to get my news someplace else, and this is where you just sent me to get news? I could, babe, the call is coming from inside the house. All of this to say, we're coming into a time where the division, just like, we got to figure it out, okay? I do believe that the majority of people live in the middle gray area, because I know of, you know, leftist liberals that are extremely highly religious that identify with certain things that conservatives say. And I know a lot of conservatives or Republicans that are like, well, I'm socially liberal but fiscally conservative, you know? I think that we do have a lot more in common than we disagree with. We just disagree with on how it should be done. And I'm a little worried for the next 4 years, I'm not going to lie, because so much of it is semantics and, you know, just like little petty bullshit that, like, I care about people being able to eat. I care about veterans not being on the streets. I care about the rate in which people are unalive, you know, killing themselves. I care about how the middle class and lower class are designed to hate each other. I care about that. I do. I care about all of that. I care about how people are hating immigrants and migrants, rather than the fact that we haven't had any immigration reform in decades. Because, I mean, the majority of us come from immigrants who did exactly what these people are doing. They're coming to a place that they told that their life would be better because they have nothing waiting for them where they're currently at. I come from that. My family came to America for that exact reason. I'm not going to turn around and say, oh my God, look at these low-class people. Because my family was low class. Shit, some of us still are, you know? So I think we really gotta find empathy. And for those of you that are claiming that you are believers in God and you cannot find empathy for these people, I urge you to turn off the TV and open that big book that you believe so heavily in, because I guarantee you're gonna find a lot of internal contradictions that for fucking why? This is Amazon coming to pick something up. Okay, pause. I'll be right back with a new segment. Back, just a little Amazon UPS pickup, you know, a little package that they had to take away. So let's jump into another topic of conversation that I got to talk about. I have to talk about it because if you are a Real Housewives girly like me, over the past year, I have just gotten sucked in. Like, yeah, I've watched it from time to time. It's been a guilty pleasure. Yes. But wow, have I become like Andy, put me on Watch What Happens Live. Put me on. People are like, Diana, you should be a part of the Real Housewives of New York. I would be amazing on the Real Housewives of New York. However, I don't nearly have enough money. But then again, when you look at half of the, well, who knows? Some of the women are lying. So who really knows? The biggest thing about the Real Housewives going on right now, I would say, Real Housewives of New York just had a finale, and a lot of people are not really messing with this cast. I actually love this cast. I really have an unpopular opinion. People are like, oh, it's not like the old cast. The old cast were women that were, first of all, much older. Number two, they were only on the Upper East Side. Like, they were just Upper East Side women. And number three, like, it was a different time. We got to bring some youth into it. And of course, people know that they're being talked about and whatever. And, you know, they do have a little bit of this, the new cast has a little bit of this, like, oh, well, people are watching me, you know, air about them, where they do feel a little like they're constantly breaking the fourth wall of like, oh, well, I don't want somebody to say this about me on camera. I don't want my husband to say this about me on camera. So, of course, very irritating. But they just had this finale, and it brings up a lot of topics. It brings up sexual assault. It brings up a lot about colorism. It brings up just a lot about sociopathy. That's not how you say it. Sociopath. Yeah, somebody, if they're being a sociopath or a narcissist of some sort. And so basically what happened is there's this girl who's on the cast, Brynn. And Brynn is a mixed woman. And, you know, I don't want to speak for any community, but people are saying, you know, people always give Brynn a pass because she's super white passing. And the thing about Brynn is she will lie and then twist lies or twist people's words and then share them with somebody else in order to stir the pot, which she herself proclaimed as a pot stirrer. And people give her a pass because she's Brynn and she's so funny and cutesy, and she kind of does this thing where she like infantilizes herself, like she makes herself like a little baby. She's just a baby. The woman's 38 years old. Like, and I'll give her this, like, she looks young as hell. She looks like she's my age. Honestly, she looks like she's 28. But yeah, she does. She's got some issues, and it's blatant to anybody who can see it. Now, here's the problem. She got into a fight with one of the cast mates on the show, because, you know, they were poking at each other. And I'll be honest, between the two women, the two of them, they always seem to like blow up over something small. I would say, and Uba is the other woman, and Uba is a stunning lady. Okay, she's a model, she's stunning, and she knows it, and we love that for her. I will say sometimes Uba will take something and kind of make it an issue when it doesn't need to be. There was a part of the episode where like Erin called, like they were like, oh, let's do something fun and like call Abe, which is Erin's husband, who's like, he's down for the down. Like he loves being on the show. I think he loves the games, and he's also super open, which like I really appreciate. And they were like kind of prank calling him and trying to get him to be like sexy on the phone. And like he kind of knew like what was going on, but Uba was like, I guess they said she like killed the vibe, but then she gets up and storms out as if something was like done to her. And when she leaves, she's like, you know, some of us would be blessed to have a husband. And she kind of has these really over the top, I think, reactions in some ways. And it can rub people the wrong way. Now, when it comes to her reaction about what happened with her and Brynn, which I will get to in a second, honestly, she could have even gone harder. I thought she was going to smack Brynn across the face, which I would have. Brynn and her were really nasty to each other. Uba said, well, Brynn probably, you know, slept with somebody for money to get on the show. Brynn then goes back and says, like, you're nobody, you model for Pottery Barn, which it's like, yeah, but that's more than what you model for. And they said really horrific, nasty things to each other. But then Brynn goes and makes it very dark and deep. Because Brynn says, you know, I'm in treatment. She doesn't say this while Uba's around. She goes, I'm in treatment for my sexual assault, my rape. And Uba knew this, and she still said those things to me that I, you know, sleep with people for money. And basically tries to get the entire cast to turn on Uba. And Uba was like, when Uba heard about this, she lost her mind. because she's thinking like the entire world is going to see this and think that I'm a horrible, horrific person. And this girl knows that she's doing that specifically. And if anybody knows how to play to the court of public opinion, it's 1000% Brynn. I think Brynn came on the show really trying to be the cool, funny girl that's always making sex jokes. She wants to be the Samantha Jones. And I think that's another thing about Brynn is everything that comes out of her mouth is like overly sexual to the point where it's like, okay, girl, you seem like you need a lot of male validation, and I hope that that's not the case. But then she got so mad earlier in the season when somebody had insinuated that she's a sugar baby. And then she was like, that's so insulting. Wait a minute. Why is it insulting to be a sugar baby? Your entire MO, your entire personality is based around you being this sexy little baby and hitting on older men and sexy men. It's like, that's kind of, so it's cool to like play them, but not be one. And so I think that's where people make the easy assumptions about her because everything that comes out of her mouth is like, yeah, these men want me. These men want to pay for me. These men, you know what I mean? And so when she went and then tied in a sexual assault to weaponize it against Uba then had to defend herself. And it was like when they turned the main cameras off and it got heated and it's very dark. And I couldn't believe watching it how manipulated I was as a viewer to believe Brynn. I was like, wow, that's really horrible. Especially me, somebody as my own self, like a survivor of sexual assault. I was like, wow, I can't believe Uba did that. And then to see Uba have to so fiercely defend herself, and then it all comes crashing down when Brynn, after a while, says to the rest of the cast, not Uba, because Uba was put in a hotel, which people are saying, like, why did they ship Uba off and not Brynn? I have to say, I think that was the right move because Uba deserved her time alone. And I think Jessel was a good friend by going with her. I actually think that they did more right by Uba because Uba deserved a hotel stay. She deserved some peace, honestly. I know people think that was them like treating Brynn nicer, but I actually don't think so. I actually think that was them treating Uba better. Because then we wouldn't have known that Brynn goes into the cast members' room to talk to all of them and basically says like, yeah, maybe she didn't clock that I was sexually assaulted after saying that she did it on purpose and causing this whole problem. And the next morning, she's acting like, yeah, I could just move on from everything. No, that's not normal, babe. When you make everybody like lose their brains and then you are the person that just gets to move on and it's nothing, that's not okay. That's not normal. So it was really, really crazy to watch. And if you are not watching Real Housewives of New York right now, I bet you that the reunion is going to be pretty spicy. The majority of the season was kind of boring. Let's call it what it was. They did a prank in the middle of the season that like literally the entire trailer was based off of. Like they had like, oh my God, she's pregnant. Why? Like they did this whole lead up only for like the episode to show it was a prank. So it's like, oh, but you had nothing else in the trailer. So we have nothing else to look forward to other than the finale. Like that's so annoying. But I think that now with this happening, I think there's season 3. That's when things are going to start cooking. Because you really don't see, I loved season 1 for them, this cast's season 1. Season 2 started off slow because I think that they're a little afraid to step on each other's toes now that they're all kind of friendly. Season 3, now I think it's going to heat up a little bit. Give them one more season. If it still doesn't kick in, then start moving people around. But now I feel like, okay, we could see a little bit more. Now I'm ready to see this because I'm also seeing a lot of things unfold around Erin. Erin likes to talk her shit and then offload it. I think Sai is getting back into her spicy self. She was afraid to be herself this season. Jenna Lyons, God, I love her. Raquel, what a great addition. You know, I think we're stepping into another good golden era and we got to let it rock for a little bit. But after next season or the season after, if it's not working, then yeah, take people out or shift people around for sure. Do what the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City are doing. Take freaking notes. Oh my God. If you are somebody like me where you think heavily and overanalyze the world around you for the majority of your days and you just need something to disassociate with, but you need it to be juicy, please start Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Oh my God. This season was unreal. Like every episode, there was a chunky piece of drama. Every episode had like a good one-liner. And this season finale, wow. And this season reunion, just the episode 1. Wow. I feel differently about Bronwyn than I thought mid-season. I'm not loving her as much as I thought I did. I love her, but like I'm not loving her as much as I thought I would. Mary, I like her more than I usually do. Lisa Barlow, I'm never getting on that bandwagon. I'm sorry. I know some of you love her. I'm not. I can't. I can't deal with the lack of accountability. You know how easy it would be, like all of her issues that she's like, everybody hates me. Everybody's talking bad about me. Nobody's talking bad about you. You just suck at taking accountability. All of your problems would go away if you were just like, I'm sorry I made you feel that way. I'm really sorry, if you were genuine. But she's like, okay, well, I'm sorry. You felt like that. No, that's not an apology. That's super insincere. And Angie, that woman is not your friend. Whoo, that woman is not your friend. No. Thank God for Angie and Mary Cosby. Love that relationship. That's my reality TV tea because, oh my God, I need to talk about this. I almost feel like I want to start like a new TikTok page, like just talking about like this reality TV because it makes me so happy to disassociate from the world and like hone in on this. It's my favorite. Like it just lets me, it also like inspires me in a lot of ways, you know, because art imitates life or whatever, reality TV. So yeah, it's really, I was loving it. I was living, laughing, loving. And you know, I was watching Bronwyn and Julia Fox on Watch What Happens Live last night. And you know what's crazy? I'm going to tell you guys something. I have Julia Fox's mail. And I don't know how to get it to her. And let me explain how I have it. Miss Julia Fox, first of all, I freaking love you, bitch. Okay? Let me be your assistant. Let me be your assistant. Let me help me help you, Miss Julia Fox. Because I found out you bought a house around the block from me, honey. We're neighbors. And the only reason why I found that out was because I was walking my dogs the other night and I see this like paper on the ground. And I'm not going to lie, from about 50 feet ahead, I was like, is that money? I was like, ooh, maybe it's money. I go to pick it up. I'm like, oh, it's a letter. And then I was like, oh, wait, it's a closed letter. I was like, maybe if I see the address, like I'll put it in somebody's mailbox or something. And it said Julia Fox on it. I was like, oh my God, that's so funny. But like Julia Fox, it's a normal name. How many people have the name Julia Fox in New York City? Probably a lot. And then I see the address, and the address is I know she used to live in the East Village. Her address says, it's an East Village address. I'm not going to like dox her or anything. And I was like, oh, that's so weird. It says Julia Fox with an East Village address, and Julia Fox used to live in the East Village. And I was like, that's odd. Let me just like hold on to it just in case. I don't know why. I'm not going to leave it on the ground because it was a financial letter. It was from a financial thing. So I was like, if somebody bad sees this and is like, oh, this might be Julia Fox, let me look at all of her stuff. I don't think that that's right. So, and it also looked like it fell out of somebody's pocket. Like it was crumpled up in that way. So I go home and do you hear my fucking neighbors? Can you stop? My God. What is this, George of the Jungle? Fucking annoying. I'm talking about Julia Fox. Anyways, so Julia Fox, I go home and I start researching. I'm like, where does Julia Fox live? She still lives in the East Village, right? So that'd be weird for her East Village mail to be up here, uptown. And I just read she bought a house around the corner from me in my area, in my neighborhood. I don't know which house. It didn't say which one. Obviously good, so she's not doxxed. But I think it showed a picture, and I was like, I've seen that house before. I just don't know which one it is because so many brownstones. And I was like, I should find a way to get this mail to her because it kind of looks important. It looks a little important, but then I'm like, she's Julia Fox. If she needed another like copy, she probably would get it. But anyways, Miss Julia Fox, I have your mail and I would love to deliver it or just, I'll just meet you in the park if you don't want me to know where you live. And then like we can have a cup of coffee. I know you're Italian. There's a great Italian cafe around the corner. Okay. Pasta Italia is around the corner. Nice Italian family. They also own Soda Casa. I can show you around, girl. Or I could just organize your closet like Kim Kardashian started doing. Okay, let me be your assistant, babe. Okay, I want to be in the room where it happens. You know what I'm saying? So I have Julia Fox's mail. Girl, come get it. I'll bring it to you. Queens don't move. Let me move for you, queen. Oh, so man, what a freaking week. Do you hear I'm going to kill my neighbors. Seriously. I'm going to kill them. Kill them. You don't have a job? You don't have a job? Get a job. Get a job. Get one. Oh my God. I have a neighbor that's, oh, this is going to sound shitty, but I have a neighbor that's almost 600 pounds and he is not this loud. Okay. So let's get it together. A few updates before we say goodbye. I am performing at Chelsea Table and Stage March 27th. So if you want to see me live, make sure you grab tickets. Tickets are not up yet, but if you are on Patreon, you are going to get the first dibs on the tickets and on the live stream, okay? So I'm super excited. This will be really great. I am stoked to do this. I am so excited to be performing again. Oh, I could cry. I'm so excited to be performing again. And it's not going to be like a venue where everybody's standing and things like that. It's seated. So it's going to give like a jazz live thing vibe. Right now, I'm currently designing the show. I'm so excited to design the show the way that I want. And let me tell you something right now. This will not be the last of this year. I am planning to tour across the country. I don't know how. I don't know when. And I'm not going to focus on that. I'm just manifesting. I'm so excited to tour the country. I'm so excited to release new music. I'm so excited for my songs to be playing while you're in the shower, while you're in the car, and become the soundtrack of your lives. I'm so excited for this new era. And I know I deserve it. Rolling it back to the affirmation from the front of this episode. I deserve it, and you deserve it, and we deserve it together. So I'm so excited. I hope you enjoyed your cup of coffee. I hope you enjoyed your cup of tea and your freaking martini. Make sure you are liking, subscribing, reposting, resharing everywhere you possibly can, because the more people that engage, the more people that can come and hang out as well, and we get to grow this community together. And yeah, I love you guys so much, and I will see you next week. Have a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful day, and don't read the news too much. Take some peace. Take some time. I love you so much. Mwah! Bye!